Hi everybody, we are back, and we are still on a boat, but preferably for the last time. We will never have to be on this boat again. So, last time, we were on a boat, we checked out the Russian ballerina's room, and we found some things that were interesting, but then the boat crashed with another boat, and everybody got thrown around the boat, and then we got locked inside the ballerina's cabin. So now they're trying to get us out.
Holy shit, I missed a lot.
Take a shot every time he said boat.
Boat. That's the theme for tonight. Anytime word boat or ship or cruise, anything related to anything that aligns with a vehicle on water, do it. It takes a round of spaghetti. Like, if you have spaghetti on you,
Okay,
twirl the fork around the spaghetti as much as you can, and then just take it and just eat it.
Fucking Lars and his boat obsession.
Who's Lars?
That fucking one Chris Chan, troll. He was apparently a fucking boyfriend.
We don't talk about that here.
That guy.
Yeah, but he had an
obsession with boats.
Yeah, he had an obsession with boats. That's why I called you Lars.
Well, we don't talk about that here.
Let's get into this game.
Yes, let's do it. All right. Let's get it started. All right. So this will be the last part of this case, which, by the way, will not be a trial. So just as a forewarning.
But have we found having clues who might else killed him?
Well, it's just the same characters from the first time we have around. So it could be any of the sailors. It could be the ballerina. It could even be us, for that matter. It could even be the detective, for all we know.
I don't think it's the detective. He ain't that too clever.
Well, okay, so you got all the sailors this time, Circus. We got Moody.
Lovely, comrade.
Yeah, there you go. January 9th. Somehow, the door to the cabin we were in ended up bolted after we made an emergency stop. Sasato-san took a deep breath, then gently slid back the bolt.
Oh, no. You! What are you doing in Miss Pravona's quarters?
Ah, you both look unhurt. Good. Yes, we're fine. Thank you. What on earth happened? We heard something about how we were going to collide with another ship. Yes, it appears to have been a false report, though. Oh, how did that happen? There's a dense fog outside, so it's extremely difficult to see. Someone must have thought he saw a ship ahead. This person obviously triggered the alarm, and that's why we made an emergency stop.
Everything is chaos. Passengers are screaming. Crew are running everywhere.
This first-class area is the only quiet part of the ship at the moment.
Oh, I see.
Someone triggered the alarm? Does that mean that someone pressed that button outside?
You wicked intruder! Dressed all in black! You are the devil!
Sorry? Me? I've been called a lot of things before, but devil is a first.
You opened my traveling case! How could you?
What? No, we didn't touch it.
That's right, Miss Pavlova. It was already open when we came into your cabin.
Inspector!
Yes?
Arrest this man! I know he did it!
I'm already trying to think the inspector did
A
all this.
criminal! Is it not enough that he has killed a man?
You think it's the inspector, Circus?
He's been there every time. He's always up to something. Ha-da! And he's a stowaway as well. If Dixon promised not to steal chicken, do you believe?
Take him away. He's a trespasser as well as everything else.
Stowaway, trespassing, killing. She's right. You are a devil.
It doesn't look good, does it?
I'm gonna kick your ass, little boy.
Oh no! Help me! Sasato, use your whatever move you use on me.
It's called the Susato takedown.
There is a cell below deck. Throw him in. Tomorrow, we dock in Hong Kong. Then we give you straight to police.
Sasato, can you use that move on the police as well? Wait.
I have my limit.
Aw. Wait, a cell?
Please, Inspector Hosonaga, is there nothing you can do?
This is a Russian vessel. I really have no jurisdiction here.
And they
After-
got vodka, so no.
After my last effort to appeal to the captain's good nature, I think I'm out of options.
This is terrible.
This is a real crisis. I've got to find a solution. Immediately! Well, there's only one thing to do. That guy.
Who does he think he is, Spider-Man?
Yep.
Indeed, I am Spider-Man. I've always wanted to be like Peter Parker. In fact, I might make a comic book out of it since it is the 1800s.
He is Uncle Ben's father, after all.
What the? What are you doing up there? Mr. Sholmes?
That's Ciara.
Naturally. Naturally. I was analyzing what a weight of 20,000 rubles feels like on one's head. Have I not told you that as a detective, it is my business to know what other people do not? This isn't mere tomfoolery, my boy. Oh, no, no.
Apparently it is.
Why were you hanging from that hook before then? Isn't it obvious? To properly assess the weight of the 20,000 rubles, naturally. I wish to determine if it would bend that conceited-looking hook on the wall, so full of brag and bounce.
What the fuck? He's doing the hustle.
I don't know how the song goes.
Do the hustle! I never know whether to take this man seriously or not.
Not.
You again. The great detective. Ah, Inspector. I confess I've been looking for you. I have something to report to you most urgently. Well, you might try to looking for me else somewhere other than a hook on the wall next time.
What is to report? Speak!
An urgent report from a great detective can mean but one thing. Yes, the case of the curious murder that took place last night here on this vessel, the steamship Burya, has been solved by me, naturally.
Oh no,
What?
not again.
What?
What?
Really?
Really?
Sorry.
Hey, that was my line.
I was saying it out loud from my head.
Your thoughts came out of your mouth, and therefore you came to that deduction. Good job, Circus. Yes, I have eliminated all other possibilities. No other explanations exist. So, allow me to illuminate all your minds. For I am about to reveal my great detective's greatly admired great deduction to the case.
Here we go again.
Ha! You have solved it. Even Hedgehog understands this kiss.
That's no good. That is not true.
Down now, Hedgehog. We all knew who was. Wrong fucking voice again. God damn it, I did this last week.
Take your time, madam. You have all the time in the world. Nobody's going to bother you about your acting skills. Director, stop bothering her. And let's go get lunch before we continue the scene, please. God, I hate this director.
He's awful.
Ooh.
We all knew. Why do I want to do British accent now? God damn it. We all knew who was responsible for killing student boy this morning. We found criminal in wardrobe.
Criminal with a K, because it's cooler.
I am Arnold Schwarzenegger's great grandfather, after all. It is the stowaway, and he has handcuffs to prove it.
I didn't do it. The trouble is, there doesn't appear to be anyone else who could have killed the victim. Because as everyone knows, the cabin door was bolted shut from the inside. That means the culprit must be someone who is inside the cabin.
Yes, it's what's called a locked room mystery in detective stories.
Locked room. That is the point.
Every time I hear inside the cabin, I think the call was coming in from inside the house.
Thank you, Pedactin, for following us. Well,
Fine.
I can't deny that. There's no way the bolt could have been drawn across from outside the cabin. You are all quite mistaken. The cabin next door is not a so-called locked room at all.
What?
Oh yes, there is another entrance. An entrance used last night by the culprit in order to gain access to the cabin despite the bolted door. What other entrance? We never discovered one. Why, it gapes open-mouthed at you even as we speak. The ventilator man! The ventilator?
He said ventilator man.
You think this funny?
Behold, for I am ventilator man, preventing all gunk and dust from entering any air conditioning.
Later, man. Sounds like a Hey Arnold character.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
An
does.
internet historian ad time character.
I cannot even put my arms through that hole.
That's because your arms are as thick as tree trunks. You're suggesting that the culprit entered and left the victim's cabin through that tiny opening. It's not possible. Ah, but it is. And last night, the victim even witnessed the intruder in the act of passing through the ventilator.
Mr. Sholmes, do you mean... Are you referring to the words Kazuma-sama wrote in his diary? 1:23 a.m. I can hear a faint whistling sound. 1:35 a.m. What looks like some sort of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill.
Precisely, my dear madam. But what does it mean? What is this speckled band? The answer to that particular conundrum is in this very cabin.
Here it goes.
Mr. Sholmes, what are you doing? There is a distinct element of danger, but fear not. I'm ready.
To
I'm
rumble?
ready. I'm ready.
What I'm about to expose for you all to see will shock you to your cores. Behold! Kya! What the?
God damn it.
Snake.
Allow me to introduce you all to the band. The Speckled Band. A snake? Indubitably.
Dots.
Dots.
Get this off my face!
Mr. Sholmes, just one thing. Pray, what troubles you? Well, that snake. Is it really speckled, is it? It looks more stripy, wouldn't you say? Hmm?
Yes, you're right. I think in this case you'd have to call it the striped band. Wouldn't you?
You both see and observe with distinction. However, do you not think that is precisely the trap into which the culprit wishes you to fall?
Oh my goodness, really? It's a trap?
How exactly? I think perhaps it is time I explain the intricacies of my train of thought. Are you ready, Miss Pavlova?
Aye aye, Captain.
I can't hear you.
Aye aye,
Aye,
Captain.
Captain!
Oh.
I'm sorry for the young man who died, but that is all. His death has nothing to do with me. This whole thing is nothing to do with me.
There are two conclusions I have drawn from the facts. Number one, last night your friend infiltrated the victim's cabin. And number two, that same friend was responsible for the victim losing his life.
No,
She's turned as white as a bowl of rice again. Sholmes must be right. He's hit the nail on the head. This young woman's friend killed Mr. Asogi. It looks like he can't speak with that snake coiled around his head. I would advise as little movement as possible, Seaman. You wouldn't want the fangs of that young friend in your neck. So, everyone, let us begin! Herlock Sholmes is proud to present his logic and reasoning spectacular!
Wait, wrong series.
Oops, wrong game. Oops.
Miss Pavlova, moments ago you claimed the following. His death has nothing to do with me. This whole thing has nothing to do with me. Yet you cannot deceive yourself. Yes, when you recall those horrid events, your aching heart smarts with pain. And it is that very pain that evidences your inextricable link to the victim's death. So we ask, what was the nature of this intruder that stole into the victim's cabin on that portentous night? Why, naturally, it was the friend with which you boarded this vessel, was it not? Ah, as I suspected, another tellable glance. Without doubt, your friend is the writhing serpent we see before us. And yet, that fact leaves us in a quandary. The victim's written observations on the night in question tell of a speckled band, whereas, regrettably, this specimen's markings do not fit that description in any way. What explanation can we then give, pray? What was the sight that fell upon the victim's eyes last night?
No, don't look at me. This has nothing to do. This has nothing to do with any of this.
Oh, but it does. You have the answer to this quandary even now, hidden behind your back. Yes, that which you are trying but failing to conceal can only be the snake's loathed skin. Evidently, after the subtle and horrible crime, this most deadly friend of yours shed its original skin. No?
What?
I don't know what you are talking about.
Last night, through the ventilator visible in this cabin, your then speckled friend slithered next door. Using the bell cord on the other side as a bridge, the serpent silently descended into the victim's quarters. In the dim light, it appeared to be the young gentleman who was about to lose his life as a speckled band. In summary, the nature of this friend of yours, which last night infiltrated the scene of the crime, is a rare breed of snake whose markings change each time it sloughs its skin. A snake so dreadful we could only imagine it would be found in the deepest depths of India. Moving on, we come to the heart of the matter, the grim demise of the victim. How did this young man lose his life, and why? According to the data of which I have been apprised, it would appear there was no visible signs of injury. In fact, the circumstances of the victim's death can only be explained by a terrible venom. Now, if we take that as fact, we can reasonably imagine that there remains evidence to affirm it at the scene of the crime.
Oh no! Could there be?
Yes, an examination of the deceased's body will prove the cause of death conclusively. The almost, but not quite, imperceptible puncture wounds left by the venomous fangs will seal the truth. Yes, the vestiges of the snake bite delivered by your terrifying friend.
This makes no sense.
There is no point feigning ignorance, Miss Pavlova. After the incident, you endeavored to hide everything, didn't you? But now, your involuntary glance betrays the hiding place you chose. That's right. You hid the evidence that links you to the victim's death in that traveling case. When we first met in this cabin, it came to my attention that your case moved periodically. Your serpent assassin was restless inside, no doubt.
You don't.
It is telling that the victim made note of a low whistling sound that he heard minutes before his end. That was your signal, was it not? The sound you had used to train your serpent friend.
Train?
Indeed, you'd put the serpent through this ventilator and wait. After a period, you'd summon it back with a whistle. You couldn't know if the animal had done its duty, so you would listen for signs of life next door. If the victim appeared not to have been dispatched, you would release the snake once more. Do you deny this snake has undergone such training?
It's not true.
Having slithered through the ventilator and down the bell cord, the creature needed only to sink its fangs in once. And its venom would course through the victim's veins, ending his existence forever. That is the true nature of the speckled band that took the poor young man's life. There can be no doubt. My logic is infallible. Thus concludes Herlock Sholmes' great deduction of the speckled band. Miss Pavlova has trained her pet snake as a killing machine. There on the floor, you will observe a saucer of milk. The promise of food is key to training any creature. Incredible! You've solved the mystery! Amazing. Your great deduction really lives up to its name. I see how why Herlock Sholmes has become such a household name. My dear man, it was nothing remarkable. As the Russians say, I could have done it with one left hand. That sounds so wrong when you think about it.
Oh, he needed his lefty loosey, did he not? I'm sorry.
Holy crap.
Could I venture an opinion, Mr. Sholmes?
But of course, what's on your mind?
It's just about your deductions before. Some things don't quite make sense to me.
I welcome questions as to my method, and will answer both loudly and proudly.
Oh, well, good. First of all, snakes are egg-laying creatures, part of the reptile family.
You are well informed, madam.
And reptiles, don't drink milk.
Yeah.
Ah,
If anything, she would have had little snake, feed snake, little snakes. I meant to say little, rats.
Mm-hmm.
It's really only mammals that like to drink milk, you see. So, I'm not sure it'd be possible to train a snake using milk as a reward.
no matter. No doubt Miss Pavlova used some other treat to encourage her pet to do her bidding. Milk was merely an example. The logic holds.
Right.
Well, there is something else. Snakes have no ears.
Ah,
Yes, so I'm not sure it would really be possible to signal to a snake by whistling.
but madam, what of the tales from Arabia? Have you not heard of the snakes that dance to the sounds of a flute?
I think perhaps the performers play their music in time with the snake's natural movements. Uh-oh.
Oh, I see. No hands, no
Ouch.
feet, no ears. These creatures are so inept to be practically useless. Don't take it out on the snakes, Mr. Sholmes. I have had it with these motherfucking snakes on this motherfucking boat.
There is one other thing.
You have more?
Yes. Snakes use the scales on their bellies to propel themselves. So, I'm not really sure that a snake could manage to climb up a flat bell cord like the ones in these cabins.
Then it should try harder.
You try harder. Please don't be angry with me, Mr. Sholmes. The point is, even if the snake had gone through the ventilator to the next door cabin, it couldn't have come back without help. What I'm trying to say is that there are a number of reasons why it's difficult to imagine the snake could have been part in this.
He's defeated.
Oh, that's the face of a defeated man right there.
Oof. I think need to step in and help again, Mr. Naruhodo.
Oh no, you don't mean...
Here we go again.
Yes, we need to modify Mr. Sholmes' latest deductions and turn them into the great ones they ought to be.
I had a feeling that was coming. All right, let's give it a try. Just
Okay, collaboration time.
Just what I was waiting for, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, right.
Collaboration time, baby.
So cast your eyes down to your wrists again. What?
Oh, Lord.
You've done it again!
Your handcuffs are gone.
Where did they go? Fear not. I shall see they're restored after our work is done. I really wish you'd leave them off. Now, everyone, let us begin. Hairlock Sholmes is proud to present his Logic and Reasoning Spectacular.
Again.
With collaboration of Ryunosuke Naruhodo.
Miss Pavlova, moments ago you claimed the following. His death is nothing to do with me. This whole thing is nothing to do with me. Yet you cannot deceive yourself. Yes, when you recall those horrid events, your aching heart smarts with pain. She does have a pained expression on her face.
Yes, that's true. Sorry. She looks as though Kazuma-sama's death is weighing heavily on her mind.
But you're not sure Mr. Sholmes has read her quite correctly, is that it? Could there be some other way to interpret her expression, then?
Let's take a moment and really look closely at Miss Pavlova. Oh, Naruhodo-san, look. That looks like a very painful wound.
It looks like a scratch made by some kind of small animal. And fairly recently, too.
Well, whatever scratched her doesn't appear to be around here.
Yes! Yes, when you recall those horrid events, that claw scratch smarts with pain. Indeed, and simple observation reveals that the wound is fresh. Miss Pavlova, did you in fact receive that scratch sometime last night?
When I think about the young man who died next door, I feel so sad. And Venom's son, the pain from this wound is worse.
And it is that very pain that evidences your inextricable link to the victim's death. So, we ask, what was the nature of this intruder that stole into the victim's cabin on that portentous night? Why, naturally, it was the friend with which you boarded this vessel, was it not? Ah, as I suspected, another telltale glance. Without doubt, your friend is the writhing serpent we see before us. It seems likely that the scratch mark on the back of Miss Pavlova's hand was made by this friend of hers, doesn't it? Except, snakes don't have claws, do they?
No, they don't. They don't even have hands or feet on which claws might grow.
Well then, if that snake isn't her pet, what is? What's the true identity of this friend of hers?
We should follow her gaze, Naruhodo-san. That's where we'll find the answer.
Yes! Oh, that wasn't it. I got it mixed up. I'm sorry.
Oh gosh.
Oh, wait. I
What?
I forgot to do something. I forgot to, I jumped ahead a little bit.
Oh.
Yikes. We got a second. We
That's the
got
thing.
like 4 more chances, don't ya?
Yeah, that's about the thing about these games, about Ace Attorney. Like, your logic will start going, like, ahead of it, but they're like, no, you gotta think all this out first before you can actually get to it. But it's like, I know what happened. It's like, no, we have to go detail by detail.
It was a cat, wasn't it?
No, let's see what's in the picture.
Yep.
Ah, look at the photograph in this frame.
Aw.
This must be something Miss Pavlova brought with her when she ran away.
She is exceptionally beautiful, isn't she?
Yes, that's true. But personally, it's the little black creature she's holding that's caught my eye. Maybe we better take a closer look at this.
Yes!
Without doubt, your friend is the little kitten we see before us. Yes, the scratch on the back of your hand makes that abundantly clear.
Oh no.
The whereabouts of this black kitten isn't clear, but what is clear is that you brought the animal with you when you ran away, didn't you?
Narka is my best friend.
Oh.
I couldn't leave her behind.
Daka would appear to be a Russian blue. And yet, that fact leaves us in a quandary. The victim's written observations on the night in question tell of a speckled band, whereas regrettably, this specimen's markings do not fit the description in any way. What explanation can we then give, pray? What was the sight that fell upon the victim's eyes last night?
Ah, don't look at me. It has nothing to do with any of this.
Oh, but it does. You have the answer to this quandary even now, hidden behind your back. Yes, that which you are trying but failing to conceal can only be the snake sloth's skin.
Did you see that? She just took something out of her pocket and hid it behind her back.
If she just left it in her pocket, no one would ever have known.
Oh yes, ploys like that are Mr. Shom's specialty. He ever so cleverly forced her to reveal something.
I thought deduction was his specialty, or maybe making me believe that was a ploy too.
Anyway, I find it hard to believe that's the skin of a snake.
In which case, just what is Miss Pavlova hiding behind her back? Alright, where? Oh.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's the way this camera is. It's like very, very,
Awkward.
yeah.
Mhm.
It's like the way it goes sometimes.
Yes!
What the fuck? Okay, I fucked up again.
Yeah, I got 3 strikes, bud.
Take me out to the ball game. Did you know I came up with that song while I was busy in New York City one time seeing the New York Yankees?
Really now.
I once told the guy that was going around the stands. I said, "Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks," and then that's how it started.
I don't think there's any room for doubt.
Thank you. I appreciate the fact that you enjoyed the lyrics to the song that I supposedly wrote. That I didn't really. Okay, she's apparently holding something. Oh, wait. Is there another arm that I didn't look at? Oh, wait a minute. Okay, this is... Oh, wait a minute. Again, I have to actually examine it before I present it.
Jeez.
Well, it is speckled, and it is a band, but what is it? It seems to be soft and fluffy. A long piece of cloth of some sort. And that looks like a handle at one end.
I think it may be a cat's toy. This sort is common in the West, apparently.
How is that a toy for cats?
Cats like to chase the band around and paw at it. Kittens in particular love that sort of play. You only need to wave it in front of them, and they pounce to catch it.
Aha, that sounds positively adorable.
It
It
is.
is.
There we go.
Yes!
Yes, the thing you are trying but failing to conceal is, a cat's toy. Precisely, and the true nature of the now infamous speckled band. And it was this toy that you dangled through the ventilator. You waved it around, I presume. Naturally, the victim could not fail to notice it. But why? For what reason? My dear boy, there could be only one answer to that. After her feline friend disappeared through the ventilator into the neighboring cabin, Miss Pavlova attempted to use the speckled cat's toy to incite the creature to return. Ah. In summary, the nature of this friend of Miss Pavlova's, which last night infiltrated the scene of the crime, is a blithesome Russian blue breed of cat by the name of Darka. A truly troublesome feline young Darka is proving to be. She must be caged once found. You will forgive us for borrowing the photograph of your pet, Miss Pavlova.
It was after I gave her food last night. That's when it happened. She scratched at the back of my hand and then ran up the bell cord. Before I could do anything, she had disappeared through the ventilator. Tarka, she is so naughty.
Aww.
Moving on, we come to the heart of the matter, the grim demise of the victim. How did this young man lose his life, and why? According to the data of which I have been apprised, it would appear there were no visible signs of injury. In fact, the circumstances of the victim's death can only be explained by a terrible venom.
What Mr. Sholmes says is true. There were no signs of wound anywhere on Kazuma-sama's body.
That's right. But Mr. Sholmes seems to be unaware of one very important detail. Kazuma wasn't poisoned.
Yes, it would seem so. Let's give him the information he's missing now.
Yes!
In fact, the circumstances of the victim's death can only be explained by the post-mortem report. Ah, yes, I knew it was one or the other.
His necklace?
Indeed, the breaking of the cervical vertebrae is fatal. Only that Goliath would be strong enough to survive that. Seaman Stroganoff isn't some immortal freak, you know. The jury is out. Anyway, we have on good authority that the victim's neck was broken. Now, if we take that as fact, we can reasonably imagine that there remains evidence to affirm it at the scene of the crime.
Oh no. Could that be?
Yes, an examination of the deceased's body will prove the cause of death conclusively. Kazuma died because his neck was broken. In other words, he was probably struck by something or someone.
Yes. That's a distinct possibility.
But he just fell and broke his neck.
Maybe.
Might not be that. He's not that clumsy.
If there's a cat jumping on him.
Hey, if there's a cat at your feet, it's hard to walk.
Get this
should
cat
know.
off. Get this. Oh, what was that Simpson joke? Get that cat out of the way.
Dude, I know for a fact when Chester gets a bath, he climbs on my back and it's hard for me to walk. So, maybe if a cat jumps on you, you have no chance.
And with the breed of cat it is, it's probably very fluffy too, so like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I'll slip on the tail, that'd be very unfortunate.
Presumably, Darka didn't silently creep up behind Kazuma and deal him with a fatal blow.
Just at the thought of okay, I mentioned this before, but when a cat has like prey and like does a little kick thing, that's to break the prey's neck. Obviously the cat was too small to do that, but still.
Yeah.
Little paddling feet. I suppose it's possible that he had a fall and hit the ground awkwardly. Awkwardly, okay. It could have been a terrible act of misfortune that he broke his neck completely by accident.
Oh, there you go, Circus. We're already examining this. Oh, yes. A bad fall could explain it.
It's rather hard to believe of Kazuma-sama, though. He wasn't a clumsy man.
Well, we need to fix this deduction somehow. Is there anything from the scene that could explain what happened?
Yes!
Oh, get the steak off my head.
Yes, an examination of the mark on the floor will prove the cause of death conclusively. This particular mark, so prominently visible next to the victim's body, is a deposit of shoe polish.
Shoe polish?
Indeed, positively identified by a little analysis device I constructed, which I carry now as a matter of course. Beeswax, tallow, and dye were my results, the undeniable ingredients of shoe polish. And the color of the polish is a perfect match to the color of Mr. Asogi's laced leather shoes. Looking at this mark, it's not hard to imagine what happened. For some reason, Mr. Asogi must have caught his foot at that point on the floor and tripped.
Please, no.
And, by a dreadful turn of misfortune, caught his neck against some immovable object as he fell to the floor. Suffering a fatal blow to the spine, the victim's vertebrae shattered, and in that instant, he lost his life.
I don't know. I don't know anything about this.
Is that really true, Miss Pavlova? What about the evidence left at the scene where Mr. Asogi lost his life? Yes, the facts are as clear as day to me. You did all you could to conceal the incriminating evidence. But now your involuntary glance betrays the hiding place you chose. That's right. You hid the evidence that links you to the victim's death in that traveling case.
I don't believe it. Kazuma-sama merely tripped over and now he's no more? It can't be true. I refuse to accept it.
I know it's hard to believe, but the mark on the floor does seem to suggest that's what happened.
But
And if this part of Mr. Shulm's deduction is right, Miss Pavlova is trying to hide some evidence that would prove it. Here in this cabin, somewhere in the direction that she just cast her eyes.
where? I wonder.
Let's have a good look around. The answer must be here somewhere.
This is a waste paper basket. Perhaps all the first-class cabins have them.
Because screw giving the trash cans to all the third-level cabins. But Miss Pavlova only started occupying this cabin late last night. Presumably there's not much rubbish in there yet. Oh, what's that?
It's a broken piece of glass, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And I feel like I've seen it somewhere before.
If it looks familiar, perhaps it's more than your mind simply playing tricks on you.
Yes!
That's right. You hid the evidence that links you to the victim's death in that waste paper basket. Here we have a fragment of some intricate glass object, it would seem. One that has a familiar air, in fact. Precisely. We found another piece of broken glass on the floor in Mr. Asogi's cabin. And as you can see, the two pieces fit together perfectly.
Oh no.
So, Miss Pavlova, shall we consider what this tells us? Why would it be that part of this glass object, which was inevitably broken at the scene of the victim's death, should be found in the waste paper basket in your cabin? You're well acquainted with this glass spell, are you not?
I don't.
I don't know, and that hushed Russian accent of yours won't save you this time, dear girl. Why? Because we have conclusive evidence linking you to the bell in question.
What?
Take it away, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes. The evidence linking Miss Pavlova and the little glass bell, that would be...
Yes!
If you look at this photograph, you can clearly see, hanging from Darka's collar, the very glass spell in question.
I.
The truth has caught up with you, Miss Pavlova. The young man who lost his life last night did so after a truly inconspicuous fall. And the cause of that fateful stumble? Your absent feline friend, Darka.
I couldn't tell anyone. I'm sorry.
Oof.
Let this be a lesson to cat owners.
Oh, thanks, show. Even though there's like 3 cat owners in this fucking chat right now.
I know. This game is trying to teach you something. Why don't you tell us now, Miss Pavlova? Tell us exactly what happened last night.
It was a little after 1 in the morning. It was so late, but I hadn't had time to feed Daka, so I gave her some food. And then, all of a sudden, she scratched me and jumped out of my hands.
People do say that cats become very anxious and nervous in new environments.
Poor baby.
She was so fast. She disappeared through the ventilator before I could stop her.
And that is how you acquired the rather nasty wound on the back of your hand, I take it.
Yes. And I had read the rules on the wall. I knew that I wasn't allowed to have Darka with me.
Yes. Modern science suggests that animals can carry infectious diseases. It's a precaution, really.
So I listened and listened, trying to hear if there was some noise in the next cabin. It was very quiet. I was sure if someone was there, he must be sleeping.
So at that point, you thought it safe to try to lure the kitten back again? By dangling the end of the toy through the ventilator and into the adjoining cabin.
Darka always loves this toy, but it didn't work. Nothing worked. I tried swinging her favorite toy. I tried whistling to her softly, but nothing. She didn't return.
So the faint whistling sound Cosmo wrote about in his diary was Miss Pavlova trying to retrieve her pet. Cats have a propensity to remain hidden in the shadows when frightened.
So there was nothing I could do. I just had to wait until she had calmed down. But then,
Dude.
I nearly passed out with shock. I heard her cry out, and then, oh, it was such a dreadful bang. Then afterwards, nothing. It was totally silent.
Cosmo was... From the appearance of the brown mark on the floor, it seems likely that what you heard was the victim sleeping on the glass bell and tripping up. The SS Bura is a large vessel, but even she can pitch and roll violently without warning. If Mr. Asogi was already off balance as a result of the ship lurking when the kitten got under his feet, the combination of unfortunate factors could easily have caused them to fall over.
Sorry.
But what became of the kitten afterwards?
Gideon, I managed to get her to come back through the ventilator.
Yet Daka is nowhere to be seen.
I must have forgotten to lock my case. And now she's disappeared again.
Gracious, that cat is as insufferably restless as I am. Well, he knows something about himself at least.
When I woke this morning, I heard that a young man in the cabin next to me had died. But I couldn't bring myself to tell anyone what had happened. I was too scared. Scared that they would send me back.
Oh, hold on a minute. What about the snake? You're right. Where is it? If the snake isn't your friend, Miss Pavlova, then whose is it and where did it come from? What on earth is such a dangerous creature doing on board this ship?
Oh, I didn't say. Snake is my friend. His name is I can't even pronounce that.
Pierazzoko.
Pierazzoko.
What? What?
That's wondering why he didn't fight him.
That snake belongs to you.
He escaped from cage when emergency alarm sounded. I was looking for him. I did not expect to find him here.
Yes, how did that snake get into this cabin? But animals are not permitted on board.
Ha! We are at sea for 1 year. You want to be so long without close friends, without someone to understand.
All I know is how to choke people. Can you find someone a little more human who understands you better? Yeah, you fucking weirdo. But my dear burly fellow, a orangutan venomous snake? Or Garacheuon, I'm sorry, orangutan snake. That would be something. We
Don't bring
combine.
Mephisto in this.
We bring orangutans and snakes together and combine them into super animals. Anyway. Surely you can appreciate the danger
Dr.
you're putting
Mephisto in this.
everyone in.
No venom.
Hmm?
Pierazzolo does not have venom. He is harmless, very long, very gentle. He is adorable, like Granny.
Hey, don't compare me to her. She tried to She tried to hit me with a broom the last time we were here. It's venomless?
Yes, he is hungry, so he is in a bad mood. But once I feed him, you will see big smile.
Oh, will you please feed me now, you manimal?
Yeah, he's chomping at everything right now. He's hungry.
It's like, please, give me the cat. It's like,
And you feed him what? No,
that-
I suppose.
That's you. That's not you.
I'm reading it in my brain and I can't stop laughing over here. Ha! Like they said, milk chicken's ridiculous. Snakes that drink milk are only stupid stories. Pierazzolo eats mouse. Big, fat, round mouses.
Let's get away from here, mouse number 2. Okay, number 1.
Maybe he ate the cat. Who knows?
Oh no, I hope not.
Oh, Lord.
So, is that what the mousetrap in the passageway out there is for?
Of course. How else can I catch my friend's favorite food?
Arr, Stroganoff, what the hell is this mousetrap doing in the middle of the hallway? Well, Captain, I'm just trying to catch mouse in case animals on board. Arr. Alright, I'll go back to the front and be captain again. If there's a rat, let me know.
It will be dinner for me. I do not go to cafeteria for some reason.
That snake is staring daggers into my eyes.
Nothing says top of the food chain like the look in their eyes right now. See, Circus?
Mm-hmm.
It
The snake
refuses to
sighs.
It refuses to drink milk. It can't hear a whistle. It can't climb up a bell cord, and it's not even venomous. How the deuce did something so inept land a starring role?
Fallen and can't
It's
get up.
not my fault. I do not make up stories. My proposal is nothing to do with this incident.
So that's what happened. That's the truth behind my best friend's tragic death.
That's my cat.
It'll be the first in Ace Attorney history.
Uh-huh.
Miss Pavlova. I understand the difficult situation you found yourself in, and I do sympathize. But please remember this. A young man lost his life. If you're going to attempt to cover up your guilt with lies, then no matter what their circumstances, I cannot forgive you.
What are you talking about, Miss Mikitoba? What lies? Miss Pavlova just confessed everything. It was just a series of unfortunate events. An accident.
Like the book series.
I'm no great detective like Mr. Sholmes. I don't have a gift for knowing the truth. But even I can see that was not the truth. Don't you agree, Mr. Naruhodo?
To be perfectly honest, yes. There's a discrepancy in Miss Pavlova's story, I'm sure of it. I just can't quite put my finger on it.
Dang, go easy on her. She's 15. She's scared.
I confess, I was intending to let Scotland Yard deal with any outstanding issues on this matter. Oh? I am only present here for a very specific reason. The truth is, you, Mr. Naruhodo, are simply a distraction. A distraction? I do hope you've not been finding your shackles too uncomfortable. Ah, not again. When did he do that?
He's a bastard.
Especially as they are on your wrist as a result of my intervention. I was rather hoping I could resolve matters before we made our next port call. You were Mr. Sholmes? Yes, but I overlooked one important detail. The deceased young man was a very close companion of yours, was he not? Yes. Cosimo was my closest friend. I owed him my freedom, even. In that case, we must follow this to its conclusion. No further distractions. You must uncover the real truth here, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, whatever that may be. The key to this is the discrepancy in Miss Pavlova's story, I'm sure. If I could chase that down, maybe the truth will become clear. The truth about how you really died, and how that scene in your cabin really came to be. Alright, I'll see what I can do. Excellent.
Thank you, Mr. Naruhodo.
So then, shall we begin?
Yes.
What we should ponder first is the victim who lost his life in a cabin that was bolted shut from the inside. Was this truly an unfortunate accident, or was it in fact no accident at all? This is what we must establish in the first instance.
But we've already established it, haven't we? The man tripped over the kitten that had climbed into his cabin via the ventilator. Tragic, yes, but still an accident.
Hold it!
Wait, let's just take a step back. It doesn't make sense if that's really what happened, does it? I'm going to have to ask you to spell it out for me, I'm afraid. Yes, it's starting to take shape now. There's a clear contradiction between the facts in Miss Pavlova's story here. The evidence is right here in Kazuma's cabin. It's undeniable. His death couldn't possibly have been a mere accident. Really? Let us show our hand, Mr. Naruhodo. Time to present the evidence. The evidence that proves unequivocally that the victim's death was no mere accident.
Yes!
The truth is clearly recorded in this photographic print. There's no way that Mr. Asogi could have left his message on the floor. That script.
Well,
It's
yeah, I
ru-
was thinking the same thing. Like, he wouldn't have had time to write that if he just fell like that.
Yeah, and if he died instantly, I feel like this argument has been had before. If someone died instantly, they wouldn't have time to write a message.
Yeah,
That script. It's Russian, isn't it?
we.
Indeed it is. The word written means wardrobe. I see what you mean. Most people would leave a dying message in their native language. Japanese in this case.
But maybe he was studying Russian? It's a simple language. He could have picked it up very fast.
That doesn't seem likely. That's actually not the point. It makes no difference whether he knew Russian or not. Sorry? What do you mean? Exactly what I said before. There is no way that Mr. Asogi could have left this message on the floor. And the reason why is clearly explained in here. Damage to the cervical vertebrae resulting in instant death. Instant death. Ah! Which means after the victim fell to the floor, he couldn't possibly have written anything. Because he was already dead.
That's not the only reason either. There's something else we found in Mr. Asogi's cabin. A remnant of something that couldn't possibly have been there if what Miss Pavlova told us was true.
What? So, Sasato-san has noticed it too, then. Putting this message on the floor aside, there's something else that gives the truth away. Another piece of evidence that proves this was no accident. In other words...
Yes!
This piece of broken glass next to the mark on the floor. But that's the glass bell the kitten had around its neck. We already know all about that. It was broken in half when the victim tripped over the cat and fell. So we already have a satisfactory explanation. Where's the flaw in that logic? Unfortunately, there is a very big flaw. A fatal flaw. What? If that's really what happened, then how did one half of the bell end up back here in this cabin? Ah.
Yes, remember that we found the other half of the glass bell in that waste paper basket. Would you care to explain that, Miss Pavlova?
Oh no.
Both these pieces of evidence clearly point to the same conclusion. That when Mr. Asogi died last night in his cabin, there was someone else in the room. And that same person deliberately arranged the scene to disguise the truth.
in order to cover up his or her own guilt.
Yeah.
Yes, there is someone else present in Mr. Asogi's.
Hold it!
You're wasting
Okay.
time.
Someone else was there. Duh, of course. We know this.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, what are you talking about?
Bulkhead was bolted shut from inside. There was no way in or out.
Oh, yes. And only other... Oh, sorry.
And only person cabin was young student died. Was you.
Yes!
It's true. I was in the cabin when it happened. You were shut inside the cabin wardrobe, to be precise about the details. But I don't know Russian. There's no way I would have left that message. Not would have. There's no way you could have left that message, to be precise about the details. Would you mind? Forgive me, my dear fellow. As I was saying, the person in question wrote the word wardrobe in Russian on the floor in an attempt to incriminate me for the crime, even though I had been asleep in there the entire time.
And then the same person picked up the broken glass bell that had fallen to the floor. For fear of it becoming evidence that would show how Mr. Asogi really died.
But why wouldn't this person have taken all the pieces of the bell away? Leaving half behind was only going to raise questions. Yes, well, it was past 1 o'clock in the early hours of the morning. The cabin would have been quite dark. The single small lamp suspended from the ceiling would have barely have cast any light onto the floor there. Little wonder, then, that the culprit failed to notice a fragment of the tiny item.
Suspect me. Don't you?
Hold it!
Seaman Stroganoff?
Nana is woman of sea. She is daughter of strong sailor. 2 years ago, they noticed her dancing skills and she went away to join ballet company. But before, she was dancer on ship, a member of ship's band. You do not accuse ship's angel of being criminal.
Ah, so that's it.
You say that when young student died, Nana was there in his cabin. But that's not impossible. I gave my tooth.
Well, that is all most interesting. And why would you give your tooth, pray? How can you be so sure?
You are a great detective. You should know. Look truth in the eyes. Kevin Bulkhead was bolted shut from inside. No one can go into cabin. Not Nina. Not anyone. Or, if you want to tell that killer can walk through locked doors. Night. It's impossible.
Ugh, he's right.
But wait, I've read about this in detective stories. People often tie a thread around door latches so they can open and close them from the outside. Wait, didn't we do this song and dance already?
We did. Damn.
Thread. Are you stupid? These bulkheads are not born doors.
Certainly not. These are watertight doors as one would expect to find on any modern steamship. Constructed of heavy steel with not a gap in sight. No threads or needles or magnets could have been used.
No. No, of course not. I thought so too. But Mr. Naruhodo suggested it earlier, so...
Sasato-san, how can you shift it onto me like that? So Seaman Stroganoff has a valid point. The cabin door could have been bolted shut from the outside. Not necessarily.
What?
I put it to you that I could bolt this cabin door without laying a finger on it. And in this very cabin, we could see the traces of the method I have in mind having been used before. I don't believe it. Well, Mr. Naruhodo, I believe you know what I mean, don't you? A way to shut the bolt of the cabin door from the outside. One way does spring to mind, yes.
Do you really know what Mr. Sholmes means, Mr. Naruhodo?
Yes, and so should you, because we've seen it happen. Indeed we have. So would you care to do the honors, Mr. Naruhodo? Point out the telling signs of the method that was used to slide the cabin door bolt across from the outside.
Oh, wait.
Yes!
Look at the bookcase there. See how all the books and things on it have toppled over?
That must have happened when the ship made its emergency stop before.
Yes, that's right. It's a very powerful vessel after all. When the engines are thrown into reverse, a violent jolt goes across the entire ship. Any small objects that aren't fastened down are bound to fall over.
I believe. Yes, it's what's known as the force of inertia acting on the objects.
Is there nothing Sasato-san doesn't know? Or that isn't in her book at least?
I will hit you over the head with this book.
Well, whatever it's called, the same force that pushed over those books on the bookcase also made something else in this cabin move. The bolt on the cabin door.
Ah,
It was very obvious just after the emergency stop that the ship made earlier. We had come into this cabin not long before and we hadn't bolted the door. But then... Hello, is anybody in there? Shout if you need assistance. Oh, that sounds like...
Inspector Hosonaga. Oh, yes. That's it. When the ship stopped suddenly, the bolt flew across and locked the door.
Yes, it's made of metal, but it's small and light enough to be moved by the ship's sudden change of speed. Or the force of an inertia, if you want to call it that. Are you trying to say that last night, after Mr. Asogi was killed...
Click.
The SS Bureau made another emergency stop? When I woke up this morning and looked around the cabin, I thought it looked a little odd. All the books on the shelves had toppled over, and all the ornaments. It was almost as if someone had run their hand across the shelves and deliberately knocked everything over.
Oh, yes. I remember that. And I stood them all up again, didn't I?
Then when we came into this cabin, we were surprised to see the same thing in here. All the books and everything had toppled over, just like in Mr. Asogi's cabin.
Oh my.
Do you have anything to say about this, Miss Pavlova?
Are you out of your mind? You say Burra made emergency stop.
It does seem a little far-fetched. How could that possibly have happened? Unless you're saying that the culprit is actually someone from the engine room. Oh, it is simple enough. Are you forgetting the button in the passageway outside? Use to trigger.
Oh my god.
Use to trigger the emergency alarm.
Oh, yes, of course. There was a notice, wasn't there, telling you only to press a button in times of emergency.
On dark nights when the fog is dense, the captain cannot afford to rely on the eyes of his lookout alone. Hence the placement of a number of buttons around the vessel to allow any crewman to raise the alarm. The sort of button one is almost compelled to press to satisfy one's curiosity.
Sholmes, no.
Wait. It was you?
When the button is pressed, two things happen in the interest of safety. The emergency alarm bell rings and the vessel comes to a complete stop. As indeed it did a little earlier today.
We're all fucking speechless.
Mr. Sholmes. Surely it wasn't you who...
As I always say, a button has but one purpose in life. To be pressed, whatever the occasion.
Oh my
I'm
god.
face palming so hard right now. Why?
He sounds almost proud of himself.
How dare you mess with sheep? I report you to Captain. You are in much trouble now.
Now, I'm sure all that can wait until later. Let us not overlook the fact that we have now learned a valuable lesson. When the vessel makes an emergency stop, the bolts on the cabin door slide closed. So, what we must now consider...
Yes, it all comes down to one thing now. Last night, after what happened to Mr. Asogi, did the ship make an emergency stop, or did it not?
You are idiots. Burr is huge ship with many passengers. If we make emergency stop, even in the middle of the night, there would be chaos everywhere.
What are your thoughts, Mr. Naruhodo? Well, it's certainly possible that some kind of emergency happened last night. We have evidence to support that idea.
Really? What evidence, Mr. Naruhodo?
Fascinating. Do show us, my good man. What evidence promotes the theory that some emergency gripped this vessel last night?
Yes!
Seaman Stroganoff, it's your duty to patrol the first-class area of the ship, isn't that right?
Ah, that's correct. Why?
And the ship's log here. This would be where you record the details of your duties?
What are you doing with that? That is mine!
Ah, you rather carelessly left it atop the little makeshift bureau in the passageway out there. But as responsible passengers, we took it into our care with a mind to return it to you later.
I left it there on purpose. That's where I put it always.
The point is, looking at what you usually record, It's clear that under normal circumstances, you write the phrase, nothing to report, every 30 minutes. But from 2 o'clock last night until first light this morning, nothing was recorded at all. Nothing recorded in the log?
That is. Duh. Because nothing happened.
But if nothing happened, you would normally write nothing to report, wouldn't you?
Go-
Indeed so, which tells us that shortly after 2 a.m., something happened here aboard the USS Bureau. Something sufficiently significant to make you forget to fill in the ship's log, in fact.
Well, you stole my book. What do you expect, man?
Are you suggesting that the ship really did make an emergency stop in the middle of the night?
Stop talking rubbish!
If I'm perfectly honest, I find that a little hard to believe myself. Oh, why? Well, because if something as major as an emergency stop really had happened, surely all of us would have noticed.
That's very true. Thanks to the emergency stop let me do that again. Thanks to the emergency stop we experienced earlier, we all know what it feels like now. The ship lurched so violently, and the alarm bell was so loud. I can't imagine that anybody would have slept through that, even if it happened in the dead of night.
Well, no, that's a good point.
Wait, fun fact, that has happened before, someone sleeping through an alarm. It happened to, the... crap, what's it called? That one ship, like, that was mentioned in the video, the cost of Concordia, or whatever it was? You know what I'm talking about, right? The guy tried to do, like, a sail by and hit a rock. And the ship went sideways.
I never heard of this.
Me neither.
I think it was called the Costa Concordia, but hold on, I'll look it up.
Okay. Holmes, it's your turn.
What of the throbbing? Sorry?
Oh, God.
What do you mean? Your head, man. The throbbing of your head since this morning. We have all suffered with it.
Ah,
Oh, yes. I have had a headache. You're right. In fact, I haven't been feeling myself since I woke up today.
nor have I. My head has been feeling heavy ever since dawn.
Yes, you've all been afflicted, haven't you? Just as I suspected. He's right. My head's been throbbing today, too. And since eating dinner yesterday evening, everything has felt sort of hazy. I can't really remember anything that happened after I climbed back inside the wardrobe.
It's a conspiracy theory, damn it.
Then the first thing I noticed this morning was the throbbing pain in my head. I had already been dragged out of the wardrobe and had those handcuffs put on me by that point. Why didn't I wake up when all that was happening to me? Tell me, Mr. Naruhodo. You boarded this vessel as a stowaway, didn't you? Oh, well, yes. Sorry. The stowaway class of accommodation doesn't usually include meals. What did you survive on? Ah, well, Cosimo looked after me. He was always happy to share his meals. So you enjoyed some of the whole roast chicken dish that was served yesterday evening, I take it? Yes. In fact, I had all of that. Cosimo wasn't fond of chicken. Oh, really? So the victim didn't eat any of the chicken at all? That's right. He didn't touch it. Is that relevant? My dear fellow, does that not strike you?
Oh. Mr. Sholmes, do you mean to say that there was something wrong with the chicken?
I do. No. Really? Is that really true? The meal prepared for the passengers last night had been tampered with.
What?
Tampered with by the addition of a soporific designed to induce a very deep slumber in those who consumed it.
It's
A
a drug!
A sleeping drug? Do you mean
Great.
whoever did this laced every meal with a sleeping drug so no one would notice the ship's emergency stop?
Everybody got date raped.
Fuck it!
Dang! Mr. Naruhodo, of course that's not what Mr. Sholmes means. What a far-fetched idea.
Precisely. Lacing every meal of every passenger on board with a soporific drug would certainly be impossible. Unless, that is, every single member of the crew was a conspirator. What? Well, Seaman? I'm sorry to say that any more deception in this matter will get you nowhere. If you refuse to talk, there would have to be an inquiry made through the shipping company, of course. And were that to happen, every member of the crew and the captain himself would be hauled over the coals for aiding and abetting a renegade.
Please, no more. I could tell you everything.
Eh?
I cannot make problems like this for everyone anymore.
These crewmen are your former comrades, I believe.
Yes. So when I decided to run away, I asked them to help me.
Well, we all agreed to help. Everyone together.
Aww.
She threw away everything. Her fame in ballet. Mother Russia. We wanted to help our angel.
I don't believe it.
You're right. We put sleeping drug in chicken last night.
Yes, I remember now. I did notice chewing on a lump of something strange and bitter at one point.
And you kept eating.
Nah. We cannot make all drug. How do you say? Dissolve.
Talk about heavy seasoning.
At midnight, in water near Cigar, we brought our angel on board. She was helped by a comrade on shore with small fishing boat.
While all the passengers of the USS Bura slept soundly, thanks to the almost magical effects of the slumber-inducing potion their evening meals had contained. So if that's what happened, the only people awake on the ship last night were the crew, people who disliked chicken, and the newly boarded passenger, Miss Pavlova. And that means it would have been possible for you. You could have used the emergency stop trick to lock Kazuma's cabin door. But how does that make sense? Surely every cabin door would have ended up locked in that case, and there would have been complete chaos. Oh, I wouldn't say so. What? Ah, of course. Just like us, all the other passengers would have eaten their evening meal of chicken in their cabins. after which they would have been overwhelmed by tiredness because of the sleeping drug. Quite. And accordingly, all passengers were already in their cabins for the night.
Yes.
The overwhelming majority of passengers would have habitually sleep with their cabin doors bolted anyway, and so not one of them would have found it remarkable to find the door locked in the morning. In summary, in order to fasten the bolt of a single cabin door on the ship, the culprit brought the entire vessel to an emergency stop in the early hours of the morning.
You have talked a long time and said many things. What is the point?
The point is what I said earlier. There was somebody else present on the scene when the victim lost his life last night. Someone who left a message in Russian on the floor in an attempt to incriminate another. Someone who tried desperately to hide the broken fragments of glass that would reveal the culprit's identity. And someone who abused the ship's emergency stop procedure in order to lock a door. All told, a busy night.
But I don't know any of that about any of this. I am just a little girl.
You like to speak with long English words and explain your clever ideas.
Circus?
Shit, I was reading that.
Oh, we didn't hear
But
you.
I am Zella. And Zellas don't listen to long-born stories. We don't believe. Zellas like me, we only trust with our eyes. What we see with our eyes. That scratching sound's getting to me right now.
Yeah, it's like a little in the brain.
I don't think it's me.
It's not me.
It's not me, I muted my mic, so.
Well, let's deduce this and find out what it is.
Alright, I'll mute myself first.
Alright, deduction 1. Okay. It looks like Mooney and Circus are muted as well.
Alright. We're probably gonna have to go one at a time.
Yeah.
I don't hear it now.
It's Mooney.
Damn, this guy just won't do it.
What?
What are you
I
doing?
don't know where it's coming from.
Are you doing something over there?
No. No, I'm not.
Was Cat scratching something?
He's asleep.
Seems to have stopped now.
I know, right?
I think it's my own air conditioner. I set it on my desktop,
Oh.
so I moved it over to the away from it for right now.
Okay.
A
Alright,
lot
before
of
we continue this, I looked it up. And, yeah, the ship was called the Costa Concordia, and the disaster happened January 13th, 2012, and the incident that I was referring to is, alright, when they were looking for missing people, a South Korean newlywed couple slept through the capsizing, so it's possible to sleep through this kind of thing.
Alright.
But we already established that people were drugged on the ship.
They were drug.
a laudable trait.
What?
I am quite of the same deposition, my good man. Observation to me is everything. Mr. Naruhodo. Oh, yes? Do you hear it? That accusatory cry of guilt on the wind?
What accusatory cry of guilt?
Sorry, you've lost me. Proof of involvement, man! But you can't hear such a call with your ears. No, you must hear it with your eyes, for observation is the basis of all deduction.
God damn it, he's turning into the treasure cat right now. What are you talking about?
I believe the time has come for one final logic and reasoning spectacular to expose the truth.
Here come closing arguments.
So, Mr. Naruhodo, your assistance, if you please. With what exactly, Mr. Sholmes? With observation, my dear fellow, just as I said, of these two provocators. Observation?
If you remember, Mr. Naruhodo, we know that somebody tried to fabricate evidence, don't we? By tampering with the scene of Mr. Asogi's death. What we're looking for is some trace of evidence that one of these two was there when it happened.
Precisely. You are delightfully quick to grasp my meaning. Alright, I'll see what I can see. So we're looking for a trace of evidence that shows someone else was there last night when Kazuma died.
I was still a kick your ass, boy.
Yes!
Seaman Stroganoff, you seem to have quite a large purple stain on the back of your white uniform there.
Eh? Ah, yes. I don't know where that comes from.
So nothing in particular comes to mind about the stain?
What are you trying to say?
It would appear that the significance of the stain has escaped your attention, Seaman. Allow us to make it plain. It's a very large purple stain on the back of Seaman Stroganoff's uniform.
And I think what made it is clear.
Indeed it is. So, Mr. Naruhodo, present the evidence that proves it. My pleasure. Alright then, the evidence that proves what that stain on the back of Seaman Stroganoff's uniform really is...
Get off the keyboard!
Yes!
Oh gosh.
Yes, it's this photograph, and the ink it shows. That's what caused the stain on your uniform.
Eh?
A rather unusual color of ink. Purple.
Ah!
Ah, the penny drops. At last. Now you see the significance. The Russian word on the floor next to the victim's body was written in purple ink. And the stain on the back of your uniform is ink of exactly the same color. If the
Wouldn't that ink have been expensive during that time too?
Yes.
Ooh.
If the ink had been dry, it couldn't possibly have stained your uniform in that way. Which means... you must have been present in the cabin in the moments immediately after the ink was spilt.
Alright. Yes. It was me. I did it. Everything. It was me, Austin. I arranged everything in Dead Student Cabin to make it look like Wardrobe Man did it. Then I pressed the button to make Barry do emergency stop. and both cabin doors shut. I did everything someone no respect our Angel.
But if please,
Don't worry, Angel. Let me do talking. It was 1 in the morning. I was on duty, patrolling passageway. Then our angel came to me. She was like sheep, like white sheep.
please, you must help me.
I went with her. The door cabin number was open. When I looked inside, I saw student boy on floor. What happened here?
Please, don't tell anyone.
Don't slap me.
My little one, my little fairy friend.
Ow! Sorry, I'm hitting Elliot and he bit me.
It's okay. Everything that happened in cabin, like Angel told you.
The kitten escaped through the ventilator into Mr. Asogi's cabin. Then he tripped over it and broke his neck when he fell to the floor?
Yes, that is right.
So after the incident where the cat ran away, Miss Pavlova then visited the cabin next to hers? Only to find its occupant lying lifeless on the floor.
She said she was worried when she heard the sound of someone falling on the floor. That's when she went to look. No, Angel? The door was not locked. So she opened to look, and you already know what happened after. Nee.
There's just one thing, if you wouldn't mind.
What?
When you went to Mr. Sogi's cabin, Miss Pavlova, was he already dead?
Why?
I told you. When Nina opened door, a student.
I was asking Miss Pavlova. Ah.
Well, Miss
Thanks.
Pavlova,
Oh.
Yes, that is right. I saw him. It was dark. But he was wearing black, but he was on the floor, not moving. I was scared.
I understand, and I believe you.
so is that finally it now? Have we discovered the real truth about Cosmo's death at last? Ah, something very nearly slipped my mind. Oh,
No.
Mr. Sholmes?
Oh, what did you do, Mr. Sholmes?
This photograph. Yes, I took this myself, you know.
Good job on a cookie.
The cause of death was a broken neck. Therefore, the victim died instantly. And the unfortunate incident that precipitated these events, a kitten on which the victim stumbled. However, if those are the facts, there is one particular area in this photograph that seems to me somewhat unnatural.
The writing. You mean unnatural. What do you mean unnatural?
What are your thoughts on the matter, Mr. Naruhodo? Oh, well, if Kazuma tripped and fell and by some terrible stroke of bad luck broke his neck, which part of this photographic print seems unnatural?
Yes!
Alright, if he really fell due to an unfortunate accident, then this fist just doesn't seem quite right. The exact same thought occurred to me. In a fall, one's instinct is to open the palms flat. Yet here we see the victim with his left hand tightly balled into a fist. Almost, you might say, as though he were gripping something.
What do you mean?
Simply that I took the liberty of investigating the victim's fist a short while ago. You did? And what, pray, do you imagine I found there, my dear fellow?
Mr. Sholmes, show us, please.
Why, of course, my dear madam. Would I keep you in suspense?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I found.
Oh, a crescent moon with a little gemstone in the middle.
Yes, you're right.
I want that jewelry.
Wait a minute.
A crescent moon. It's very pretty, but what does it tell us?
It tells us nothing.
I'm not so sure. That crescent moon looks... It looks familiar somehow. I'm sure I've seen it somewhere before. Observation, Mr. Naruhodo. That is the key. What? The truth is now tantalizingly close. How did that crescent... How did that crescent moon come to be in Kazuma's clenched fist?
Now I'm thinking of that quote from like a SpongeBob episode where Patrick's like, "It's so close I could almost taste it," and then licking something and it's a popsicle that looks like SpongeBob.
This is the final clue, the last piece of the puzzle. Ask yourself, what does this little crescent moon mean? What significance has it? And observe. Find the answer with your own eyes.
You are in her personal space,
Yes.
comrade.
Miss Pavlova, I noticed that on your ear, even though you have a metal earring, the decorated part of it seems to be missing. The little link holding it on must have broken, I suppose.
Eh? What?
But looking at your other ear, I notice a crescent moon. Ah,
I don't believe it.
now the missing crescent moon was found in the victim's clenched fist. Clearly, there's only one logical conclusion. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes. Miss Pavlova, Mr. Asogi must have grasped that crescent moon and pulled it from your ear, perhaps just moments before he fell to the floor. In other words, last night in Mr. Asogi's cabin, you witnessed the moment when the victim fell with your own eyes. In fact, you were quite literally at arm's length from him. But then the question is, why did Mr. Asogi do that? Why did he pull your earring from your ear and hold it in his clenched fist during his final moments?
Oh, no.
Angel?
No one can protect you now. Please, Miss Pavlova, tell us the truth. Last night, what did you do to Kazuma?
when I think about everything that happened yesterday, it wasn't too much. Running away, the fishing boat in the middle of the night, trying to climb onto this huge ship. And then, when I was at last in the cabin, and I could relax after this horrible long day. Danica! Wait!
No, no way.
I couldn't believe she disappeared. The ventilator. I tried to call her with a little whistle. I tried waving her favorite toy. But nothing worked. Darika would not come back.
Knock, knock. Clunk. What are you doing here at this time of night, Inspector? Oh. I'm sorry. I thought it was a friend of mine.
The young man from your country, he was very polite and kind. He helped me to find Darka, and he promised not to tell anyone. But then, when I had my friend in my arms again, I was going to leave this man's cabin.
Just a moment. Sorry, but...
Oh, yes?
I'm sure I know your face. I've seen you somewhere before. Ah, of course. You're Nikolina Pavlova, aren't you? The Russian ballerina.
Huh? No, I don't know that name. My heart nearly stopped when he said that. He knew who I was. How could this man from a land in the faraway east know a Russian ballerina?
Yes, I saw your performance in Japan. The beauty of the ballet made a deep impression on me. But, what are you doing on this ship? I'm sure I read that your ballet company was performing in Shanghai at the moment.
I can't fool him. I have to tell him the truth and hope he doesn't tell anyone. I have no other choice.
I see. So you've run away.
Please keep my secret. Don't tell anyone.
Give me a moment. I could use another opinion here.
He's going to pull the cord. He's going to tell the captain.
Oh no.
Why did I think I could trust him? Then it happened. Everything at once. It was only a second, but it felt like forever. Wait! I shouted, and then Darka jumped out of my arms and down the young man's feet. And as he turned around to look at me,
Oh.
I pushed him. I don't know why. I don't know why I did it. I was just so scared. I had to stop him from telling everyone about me.
And that's when you went to fetch help from Seaman Stroganoff, who was on duty out in the passageway.
I heard Nina cry out and thud on the floor, so I ran to her. She was standing at the cabin door, shaking like a leaf. She looked at me and said,
Help me, please. If they find out, I will be. Please, I have nowhere to go.
So you decided to help. And that's when you arranged things in Kazuma's cabin to make it look like I did it, so that no one would suspect the passenger in the cabin next door?
yes. I went to the cabin and I looked around to make sure there was nothing to show. Nina was there. And then I found Stowaway and wardrobe still sleeping.
Right. That's when he found me.
Sato.
Am I back?
Yes.
Yeah.
So you worked out a plan to lay the blame on the stowaway.
I closed wardrobe doors and put strange paper sign.
Luckily for me, that's the only reason Sasato-san started to believe me when I said I was innocent.
I joined young man's body to good place and used ink that was spilling to right on floor. I wrote, so the person who found him look inside wardrobe to find Stowaway.
And tell me, what of the glass bell?
It was by my feet, so I picked it up.
I see.
But it was dark in the cabin. I didn't notice the other half.
Then Angel went back to her cabin. I finished job.
By pressing the emergency alarm button in the passageway?
Yes.
Accordingly, the SS Bureau did indeed come to an emergency halt at a little after 2 a.m., thus enticing the bolts on the cabin door to slide shut, creating the locked room mystery. There's still one thing I don't understand, Miss Pavlova.
What?
Well, you said that you told Cosmo about the fact that you'd run away from your homeland, and it's because you were worried he was going to tell the captain that you pushed him. Isn't that right?
Yes.
But even if he had pulled the bell cord and called for the captain of the ship, aren't you friends with every member of the crew? Why would that have been a problem?
It was what he said first. That made me scared.
What he said first? What are you doing here at this time of night, Inspector? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was a friend of mine.
He said an inspector was his friend.
Ah, yes, meaning me, who was supposed to be acting as his bodyguard.
I thought if police knew about me, they would arrest me. So before he could pull the bell cord, I...
May I stop you a moment, please, Miss Pavlova? It just doesn't seem to make sense. I mean, was Mr. Sogi really going to pull the bell cord? I don't know.
Why?
What do you think, Mr. Naruhodo?
Well, I'm not Kazuma, so I can't know for certain, but he was a man of his word. If he told you he wouldn't give your secret away, then he wouldn't have done.
No! He was walking over to it. He was going to pull the cord. He was going to make them send me back.
Well, Mr. Naruhodo, the day's work is not yet done, it seems. There is one more deduction to make. What? Another deduction?
Oh, fuck.
Yes. What action was the victim really about to take at that moment? Can we determine whither the young man's gaze was directed? First, consider the victim's location within his cabin. That's easy. I remember every detail of that room. I mean, yes, I spent quite a lot of time in the wardrobe, but still. That cabin has been my home for this entire voyage.
So this is how the cabin looked last night when Miss Pavlova visited Kazuma-sama.
Yes, it's exactly how it was. Are you ready then, Mr. Naruhodo? Are you hanging on the edge of your seat? Yes. If there's one thing I've learned today, it's that a simple gaze can reveal all matter of truths. And not only that, in order to draw the right conclusion, you can't afford to be out by even a little bit when you're following the gaze to where it lands. So, when he turned away from Miss Pavlova, what exactly was Kazuma looking at?
Wait.
Considering everything that had happened last night, certainly it may have looked as though Kazuma was going to ring the bell cord. Yes, however, what is directly beside the bell cord? The wardrobe.
The wardrobe.
And more importantly, what was inside the wardrobe? The man's great friend, sleeping soundly.
Miss Pavlova, please lean back very carefully. What were Mr. Sogi's exact words last night?
Give me a moment. I could use another opinion here.
Another opinion.
Yes, but not from a member of the crew. No, Mr. Asogi intended to consult his close friend on the matter, to see if between them they might be able to help in some way, no doubt.
Oh, no.
Sadly, we can't know the truth for certain now. It's too late for that. But I wish you had made sure of what Mr. Sogi was looking at. Things may have ended very differently if you had.
Miss Pavlova, I want to thank you for finally admitting the truth. But unfortunately, the truth is, a man lost his life because of what you did, and that will never change. I hope you'll never forget that.
Oh.
Sorry. Really. I'm so sorry. What have I done?
Damn.
And so, at long last, the mystery surrounding the tragic accident on the SS Bureau was finally laid to rest.
That's some heavy shit.
Welcome to Ace Attorney. And there's plenty more where that came from. This is only the beginning. What will happen to Miss Pavlova now, then? Once we reach Great Britain, she'll be handed over to the British police at Scotland Yard. What about the fact that she ran away from Russia? Won't the Russians try to repatriate her? Apparently, the English detective can speak to the immigration office and sort all that out. Mr. Sholmes can do that? So she won't be going back to Russia then?
Aw.
Hi, Elliot.
Elliot playing the role of Darka.
No, I don't think so. Even if she wanted to return in the future, I doubt she would be able to. She ran away, so now she's in exile for life. I see.
I'm sorry.
Seaman Stroganoff?
I wanted to help our angel, no matter what. But I didn't think about you and how you lost good friends. I will go with Nina. I will give myself to British police.
That's kind of you. In the meantime, thank you for letting me go free again. Kazuma's death feels like such a waste, but... well, do what you can for Miss Pavlova, won't you?
Die.
Well, I'm afraid you need to pack now. We're due to arrive in Hong Kong tomorrow. As much as it pains me, I'm going to have to hand you over to the consul to arrange your passage back to Japan. Yes, I did stow away after all. I couldn't really expect any different. So, you should get back to your cabin now.
Don't bite me.
It looks like my study tour to Great Britain is over before it's even begun then. To think that only days ago, Cosmo and I were laughing together about how we tear up the streets of London. That seems like a distant memory now. Oh, what's that? Is it someone weeping? Sasato-san?
Naruhodo-san, I didn't know you had returned.
Oh, well, I haven't been back long. Inspector Hosonaga just told me I should pack. You know, ready to leave the ship tomorrow and all that.
I still can't believe this has happened. I can't believe someone's life gave me over just like that.
Sasato-san.
He had such great ideas for this visit to Great Britain. So many dreams. I'm sorry. I'll explain what happened in a moment. And now they've been cruelly taken away, just as he has. I thought I could never forgive the person responsible, but now we know the truth. This is just an accident. Just a silly series of mishaps. It's too much, Naruhodo-san. It's just too much.
Yes, I know. I wish...
Inspector.
My duty was to see Ahsoka-san safely to Great Britain, but I failed, and caused his two closest friends great pain and suffering as a result. I've let everyone down. And I will do anything to make up for my terrible blunder. Nobody blames you, Inspector. And I'm free again now. What?
That son of a bitch.
Surprise, Mr. Naruhodo. What is the meaning of this? Oh, a trifling matter. Simply that in my head, I think I shall always picture you wearing those shackles. You will be...
Oh.
Fucking Houdini.
Without them, the balance seems all wrong. It's distracting. Sorry? So I decided to restore them, for old time's sake, shall we say. You are a stowaway, after all.
Son of a bitch.
He thinks this is funny? I'm
He
like
was a
a...
kid in class that everyone hated.
Bro.
Mr. Sholmes.
Herlock Sholmes, most likely to become a YouTube celebrity.
We do appreciate all your assistance. I'd like to thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Not at all, not at all. And though it's a little late, may I offer my sincere condolences? The loss of your companion is truly heart-rending. I hope that you will be able to fulfill some of his aspirations in his honor. I'm afraid that won't be possible. We shall be disembarking at the next port, in Hong Kong. We have to return to Japan and make a full report about everything that's happened. What? Wait a minute. It's just me that has to go back, isn't it? I mean, I was the stowaway. The terms of this study tour were negotiated by the Department of Justice in both Great Britain and Japan. It was to be one lawyer and one assistant. Was to be? In the light of Mr. Asogi's unfortunate death, I'm afraid the study tour can no longer go ahead. Oh no. I don't care for me, but... Poor Sasato-san. My dear fellows, the majority of problems have an extremely simple solution, you know. All you require is one lawyer and the study tour can continue, surely.
But there is no one else with the necessary qualifications, Mr. Sholmes. We know of no other lawyer.
Qualifications, you say? Any qualifications obtained in your own country would be of little value in Great Britain, I'm afraid.
Oh, but...
Identity theft.
But anyway, the voyage to London still promises a good month of time. Ample opportunity, I would say, to find yourselves another suitable lawyer.
Yes.
Mrs. Sato?
Yes?
Do you think perhaps I might be able to do it?
Ah.
But you're not a lawyer, Mr. Naruhodo. Oh, unless... Are you studying law? No, I'm not, but... I'm sorry. In that case, I don't think there's even a chance it could work. But as I said, there is still more than a month before we reach England's shores. Isn't that right, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, I have a month in which to study, to learn what I must to become a lawyer in Great Britain.
Mr. Naruhodo.
That's ridiculous. Are you seriously suggesting anybody can learn all of that in just 40 days? There's only one way to find out. I would work my fingers to the bone, Inspector, every single day. Will you let me try? And if by the time we reach Great Britain, I haven't learned enough to be recognized as a lawyer, I'll take whatever punishment is deemed appropriate. But why put yourself in such a difficult position? For Kazuma, he said that there was something he had to do in Great Britain, and that he would sacrifice anything to make it happen. He was passionate about it. I can't let all that passion just come to nothing. And anyway, it's for my own benefit too. I will become a lawyer. I have to. What do you say, Miss Sasato?
I think it's a wonderful idea.
Thank you. So, what does our bespectacled Inspector friend say? Are you serious? One lawyer and one assistant. The numbers are indisputable. No, no, no. It's madness. Yet fascinating, wouldn't you agree? Fascinating. Duty and rules are the dull routine of existence that we all abhor. Give us interest. Give us fascination. Speak for yourself. Besides, qualifications are no measure of a man. What matters is his character, no? And you've witnessed ample evidence of this man's exemplary character today with your own eyes, from the early hours of this morning until this very moment now. Despite contending with the passing of his close companion, and despite the accusation of guilt, this man has shown resourcefulness, intelligence, and above all, courage. Very well. I'll think of a clever way to word my report to the Department of Justice. Inspector! After all, I did just make a promise, didn't I? I said that I'd do anything at all to make up for my shortcomings here.
Oh, thank you, Inspector.
If you'll excuse me, I must pay a visit to the captain's quarters, I think. I need to discuss what to do next and how best to make my report.
I thought I told you to get out of my cabin.
Do you want me to beat you up again? Please, hear me out, please, this time. Whoa!
Are you really prepared to attempt this, Mr. Naruhodo?
Yes, I'm going to try. I wonder, would you consider teaching me what I need to know? Everything about being a lawyer?
I would be delighted to help you. I am a judicial assistant, after all.
Thank you.
And, Mr. Naruhodo? I'd like you to take charge of this.
What? Me? Are you sure?
I'm sure it's what Kazuma-sama would have wanted. Its name is Karuma. It's a great sword that's been in the Asogi clan for generations.
Very well. I accept. I'll treasure it always. So then, Miss Sasato, it seems we'll be working together for some time to come yet.
It will be an honor, Mr. Naruhodo. And for the next 40 days, I shan't grant you a single minute of freedom.
Uh-oh.
We shall fill every spare moment with study.
Yes, that's exactly what I need.
But before we begin, I have an earnest favor to ask of you two.
Goodness. What is it?
Oh no.
Oh no.
Please throw me to the ground.
What?
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 3 times.
Jeffrey start flexing her? What the fuck's wrong with you, homeboy?
I should never have doubted you. Hold on a second. Get off the window! You were Kazuma-sama's closest friend. Of course you would never have done anything to hurt him. That should have been obvious to me from the start. But I allowed suspicion to get the better of me. And no matter how upset I was feeling, it was completely unforgivable behavior.
No, you were in shock. You just found out about me stowing away, and the cabin door was locked for the...
No, I won't let you make excuses for me. Whatever the circumstances, I should never have thrown you. Not just once, but 5 times.
Ah, that number keeps creeping up, doesn't it?
Oh lordy.
Please, you must. Just hold me and throw me. Do it. Don't even think about it.
No.
Kiss me, you fool.
No. I don't even know how. I've never thrown anyone in my life. Very wise, Mr. Naruhodo. It isn't a skill one acquires without considerable training.
Oh, Mr. Sholmes.
I observed your throwing technique several times with great interest. I confess I was most impressed. When did he see that? I presume
I
that
am
would...
gonna.
I presume...
Sorry.
I would presume that would be a form of Japanese wrestling.
Oh no.
Oh, well, in a way, it's not wrestling, but my own interpretation of an ancient jujutsu technique.
Oh my gosh, I wish it was wrestling, because then I say, what you gonna do, brother, when Sherlock Holmes runs wild on you?
Hold on.
Apparently it's called the Sasato Takedown. It leaves your head swimming, believe me. How beguiling. I am a practitioner of the combative arts myself. I am somewhat accomplished boxer. There he goes, dancing around again. I wonder if you'd be so kind. I wonder if you'd be so kind as to instruct me on the technique of your arresting throw.
Yes, I'd be honored.
Then let us not dally. Demonstrate, my dear madam.
Oh lordy.
Oh, of course.
Oh.
Do. Are you ready, Mr. Naruhodo?
I am not hanging on the edge of my seat. Sorry. Wow!
My fucking head!
As you can see, you throw from the abdomen.
Oh, yes. Arresting indeed. And that is what you term the Sasato takedown, is it?
Actually, no. That was a Susato squash.
You mean there's more techniques than one? Yes, and we're going to practice all of them, Mr. Naruhodo. No!
Oh!
In my groggy state of consciousness, a scene from an evening recently spent with Kazuma flickered into my mind.
At this point, I think I'd rather just fucking, like, be knocked out during it.
Karuma? That's right. It's a prized sword that's been passed down through generations of the Yosogi clan. I can't believe you managed to get permission to bring it with you. I mean, taking a katana on a study tour is more than a little irregular, surely. A Japanese man's sword is his soul, Renosuke. I can't be parted from my katana. Kuruma guides me. I truly believe that. So its name compels its wielder to slice evil in two? Not that you would need much compelling. On that subject, there's something very important that I have to do in Great Britain, and I'll sacrifice anything to make it happen. I'd appreciate you seeing it through with me. Of course I will. Whatever it is, I'll see it through to the end with you. I knew you wouldn't let me down. That important thing he had to do. I still don't know what that was. But I'm going to see the place for myself and work it out. In Great Britain's capital, London.
Hi. All right, so the thing that happened is I was trying to read those lines and, like, you know, be all serious, but I have this cat sitting on his back legs, looking like a bear, trying to swing his paws at me, and just looked all fluffy, and it was so funny. I couldn't help but laugh because he... Hold on. Get off the window! Bad boy! Don't bite! He's being a little brat.
Down, Elliot. Down.
He's climbing windows now.
Well, that's going to do it for us tonight. We're still going to be, so it's going to be taking about a week before we get off this boat to get to London. So when we come back next week, we will be in London officially, trying to take care of business. So until we get to London, make sure when you're on the boat, if you're going to have spaghetti on the ship's menu, just make sure that you put a little extra butter if you need some flavor. No need to add sauce. No need to add basil. That's just for decoration. No, just a little bit of anything. And make sure that spaghetti is not any longer than 4 days old because it can go bad. And you know how that particular person in the cafeteria be like, oh, I could keep this thing in the refrigerator for a while now. 5 days? That's not expired.
No, Kevin, no.
So until next time, we will catch you all then. And hopefully all of you have a pleasant week. And we'll see you next time. For me, Mooney, Sylph, and Circus, we'll catch you all next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.